Okay, sure.
He's currently sleeping, of course, because he stays up very late in the evening.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly when he goes to bed, but a lot of times, like I'll get up and go to the bathroom like at 3 in the morning, and I'll hear him talking in the basement. You know.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so first questions. Let's see where I want to start today. Okay, if I were to pick 5 songs and make a playlist and say, here, listen to this playlist. And then after you've listened to all 5 songs, there's 5 songs you've never heard before, would you be able to tell me which song is best? How confident would you feel in your answer? And would you be able to explain it?
Would I be able to explain why the song that I thought was best was best?
Right.
Um, I think I could explain which song I liked the best, maybe, but I think I might actually even have some difficulty there because everything is sort of good in its own way.
Okay. Um, do you think you need to listen to the songs multiple times to have a clear answer, or do you think you'd know after the first listen?
I think it would be easier to know after the first listen. I think the more I listen to them, the harder I'd be able to figure it out.
Interesting. Okay. So do you feel that that works the same way with pieces of writing? So, for example, 5 poems, or 5 short stories, or 5 essays.
Um, my first hunch is that no. Like for an essay, I think the more I read it, the better I'd be able to tell between essays which is better.
Okay. Hmm. Um, do you have a? Do you think you understand well how much sleep you need to get every night?
Relatively well. I think I need 9 hours for peak performance, sort of thing.
If you get fewer than that, but you take a nap during the day, do you ever take a nap during the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell when you wake up if you've got enough sleep or not by bodily cues?
No. I think I usually figure that out later on in the day when I start getting like stressed or scattered or whatnot.
I see. Um, let's say, uh, are you are you still in school or college or something like that, or are you out of
I
that?
I graduated from high school 2 years ago, and I'm going to university next year.
Okay. Let's say it's the first week of the school at the university, and you're taking European history,
Okay.
and teacher runs into the class and says, "Oh, I have an emergency. As you can see, I'm very pregnant. My water just broke. I've got to run to the hospital and to give birth to this baby real quick. So, you, Ethan, will you teach this class today? Here's the textbook." What do you say?
Uh, um. Well, first I'd be questioning her priorities, but I suppose I'd give it a shot, probably.
Okay, all right. Would if they ask for volunteers and nobody else raised their hand, would you raise your hand and say, "I'll do it"?
Yeah, well, if no one else raised their hand, then yeah, sure.
Okay, interesting. Um, so do you do any kind of creative stuff like write or make music or paint or draw or anything like that?
Um, I like to write, but I and I used to like to draw a lot, but I don't really create a lot right now.
Are you from Australia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why? Can you tell?
Well, I was hearing the accent. At first, I thought it was an English accent, but then I realized no, it sounds like an Australian accent.
Oh, I didn't even realize that I had an accent, so that's funny to hear.
Okay. So, how many times a week do you have a fight with a great white shark?
0 times a week.
Zero. I thought
Yeah.
Australians were always doing battle with great white sharks.
No, I stay well away from the sharks. They scare me too much.
Okay. Do you like beach sports like surfing or swimming in the ocean or something like that? No.
No, not really. I mean, I like to swim, but
Okay.
I don't surf or anything.
Do you do any sports? Did you do any sports in high school?
Um, Only when I had to, really.
Right. Okay. Uh, did you find yourself more natively apt at the language stuff, math stuff, science stuff?
Yeah. I liked psychology a lot. I was good at that. I think English was my best subject.
Okay. Um, let's say I was going to ask you to write an essay about that explained why that was arguing that at the end of World War II, the Allies should have gone into Russia and finished off Stalin. What approach would you take to writing that essay? Talk me through your thought process.
Why the Sorry, why the what?
You're supposed
The
to
Allies
argue
should
that
have.
the Allied powers should have, at the end of World War II, gone and conquered Russia. After they finished off
Um,
Japan and Germany, they should have said, okay, well, now let's go get Stalin. That you're supposed to argue that that's what they should have done.
well, first off, I'd find out as much about the Allied forces and about Stalin himself and the climate in Russia or whatnot as I could, to figure out some points that I could make for the essay,
Okay.
and then I suppose I'd go from there.
Do you have, describe to me your political inclinations. Are you very political, not very political? Do you have clear politics? Are you confused about it, still thinking about it? What's going on with that?
Um, I'm not very political. I'm still sort of sorting all of that out, but yeah, I
Okay.
think we all got to work together and not use our technological prowess in a foolish way.
Okay. Um, can you tell me who my mother's husband's wife's only daughter is?
Your mom,
Correct.
your mom's mom.
No, my mom. You're right.
Yeah, right, right.
Okay. If all dogs have fur and all dogs are cats, what can we conclude about cats?
All cats have fur.
Okay. Valid or invalid? Only birds fly. And Tweety is a bird, therefore Tweety flies.
Invalid.
Okay. Interesting. Um, let's talk about SI a little bit, I guess. How familiar are you with cognitive function stuff like that, MBTI stuff? I mean, how much background information do you have coming in?
I think I have a fair understanding of the 8 functions.
Okay. So, this morning, I'm gonna tell you what I did in the last 2 hours before I got on this with you. I woke up at about 6 a.m. and I came outside. I smoked a cigarette, and then I felt like I still feel kind of tired. I went back in. I lay back down, and then I kind of rolled around a couple times, and then I got back up again, and I went and made a cup of coffee, which I just got the old coffee from yesterday, and I put it in the microwave. And then I came out here and I looked at a couple of comments, and then I started watching some music videos of my own, and then instead I decided to watch this live stream that I made a couple nights ago, and I started it and finished watching it. So then eventually I had to go poo. I went inside and went poo, and then I came back out here and we started talking. Can you do the same thing for like your last 2 hours of linear articulation of events?
My last 2 hours, sure. I went for. I've got a new pair of rollerblades, and I don't rollerblade, but anyways, besides, I went out rollerblading in my street at 9 p.m. ish. Went down to my old school, had a skate around there, then came back because I was tired. Took my clothes off because I was hot, and I had a shower, and then I made sure that the microphone and everything was working because this is new.
Okay, it's
and
fine.
then
All right, cool. Hmm. Let me see. So, what bothers you more about another person? Somebody who doesn't tell the truth, or somebody who's extremely rude?
somebody who doesn't tell the truth.
Okay.
If that rude person is truthful.
The rude person's truthful, yeah. Okay. How about somebody who doesn't tell the truth, or somebody who's mean? Not rude, but mean.
Who do I like more?
Well, who do you think is more worthy of condemnation?
The person who's mean.
Okay. And why? Why is meanness worse than lying?
Well, if you're just being mean for no other reason than to just be mean, then that's it's just malicious. And I mean, you can lie and it has negative effects on people as well, I suppose, but I suppose I can't really justify why meanness is worse than lying, but
Okay, all right.
it just feels like a dick move.
Let's say you're a parent now. Gotten married, you've got 2 kids. Joey and Susie are your 2 kids. Susie's now in 6th grade. She comes home, she's in tears. She says, "Daddy, Daddy, a bully has stolen my lunch at school today. I tried telling the teacher, but the teacher was busy, and she sort of shooed me away, and they never did anything about it, and I'm sad." What do you do or say to your child?
Try to explain that that person has problems with themselves, and what would I tell her specifically?
Or what would you do?
I'd get in contact with the teachers as well and figure out who this kid is and see if there's anything that can be sorted out there, whether he needs to be reprimanded or whether he just needs like a talking to or something.
I see. At any point would you say to your child, "Remember, child, you need to have empathy for the bully. We don't know why that bully did that. They might have needed your lunch more than you needed it," or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would.
Well, you're now. What are your thoughts about what these questions I've just asked were about? Why I'm asking these questions and what your answers might mean?
Are you asking about FI?
Yeah.
And
so what's
Try-
basically I'm positing that TI users, especially TI tool function users, don't put a lot of value in empathy for the perpetrator of a wrongdoing, although they put a lot of interest into the rights of the perpetrator of the wrongdoer, the wrongdoing. But it's not necessarily universal. You seem a fairly measured person. I mean, you're obviously not very old, but I've noted that people who've grown up in a very information-rich environment often have a certain level of maturity that I wasn't able to attain at a young age, or nobody in my generation really was, because I grew up. The internet didn't exist until I was like, 16, 17 or something like that. And at the beginning, there wasn't it wasn't much there. So the thing is, I asked the TI questions as well, the genealogy question, the validity question. Getting that one right. Have you heard me ask that question before? But the only question, only something like only birds fly. Tweety's a bird.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you find those things natively easy to answer? Like if I go, no chickens eat steak. That bird's not a chicken, therefore that bird is eating steak. Valid or invalid?
I didn't catch all of that. Could you say that again?
No chickens eat steak. That bird is not a chicken, therefore that bird is eating steak.
Invalid.
Right. All right, let's try something that I never usually do with people. This is the next level up of TI questions.
Okay.
I want you to provide the missing generalization. So, I'll give you an example. Here's the example. I would say to you, Susie can't come in. She's not a poet. And you'd say, only poets are allowed in. Or, no non-poets are allowed in. Or, all people allowed in are not
poets.
Are not non-poets, I guess. But the best way to do it would be only poets are allowed in, right? All right, so here's one for you. Jules Jules is the child of a scientist. She must be very good at math.
Children of scientists are good at math.
You have to have a quantifier, all, only, or no.
All children of scientists are good at math.
Okay. How about this one? Julie can't possibly like peanut butter. She comes from Iceland.
No people from Iceland like peanut butter.
Can you give me give it to me in all?
All people from Iceland dislike peanut butter?
Right. Okay. Alright, let me go get Spacey up. You're a curious fellow. Well, that's good. He was already standing in the kitchen getting himself coffee.
Oh, perfect.
So I didn't even have to wake him up. I will take this moment, though, to pause for a second and pull a bong rip. Would you like me to transubstantiate?
Okay.
Would you like me to transubstantiate one of these bong rips for you? I have the power to do that.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll transubstantiate this. This is called Animal Mint. It's a cross between animal cookies and a mint, some strain of mint. It actually does taste a little minty, as you'll tell when I do finish transubstantiating. You'll be able to taste it.
Okay.
Try to give you a good bell ringer here.
All right.
Note, I'm giving you the top shelf stuff, not the cheap stuff that I also got. So you're getting the good stuff. I transubstantiate the egg. Can you taste the mint?
Yeah, well, I feel it too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, there. Now I feel a little bit better. So, let's do some extroverted intuition talk.
Okay.
Can you give me 5 synonyms for the word confused?
Baffled. Befuddled. Disoriented.
Okay, it's hard.
Misunderstood.
Five is hard for confused. How about 5 synonyms for angry?
Rageful. Pissed. Ticked off.
Mm-hmm.
Red-tempered. Cross.
That's very good. What about mad? You forgot mad.
Yeah.
Oh man, right.
Frustrated.
Right, of course.
Furious.
Okay, so here's what has happened so far. Basically, is his TI is very, very good.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And I could tell right away he's 1-2 by the way that he sort of checked himself and you know did the TI shit.
He did the thing.
Yeah.
The thing.
So I also asked him this question. He's going to start university in this coming year, and he graduated from high school a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him on the first day of class, the history teacher's like, "My water broke. I got to go give birth real quick. Can you teach this class, Ethan, today?" That he'd be down, and that if nobody else volunteered, he'd raise his hand to volunteer.
Right.
So you can probably guess where I'm leaning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you know the TI, he's also the NE seems. It doesn't seem like an STP.
No.
So I mean, I let you ask some questions because I don't want to just type them right now immediately.
Well,
Because
nobody does.
I don't feel I don't want to be wrong and then go back and go, oh, I was wrong.
Well, okay. How easy is it for you to make friends? And when I say friend, we have to be careful here because what you consider a genuine friend is important in this kind of a question. So.
Okay. So what's a genuine friend, or is that what I'm defining?
That's what you're defining.
And how easily do I make genuine friends?
Yeah.
Easily, because genuine friends are just being my genuine self and sort of attracted to each other.
Interesting. Well, so how many of such friends do you have?
Maybe 6.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot more than I've ever had.
Does being a genuine friend come with obligations?
Sorry?
Does being a genuine friend come with obligations?
Yeah, I think you're obligated to tell the truth and look out for that person, like to want for the best for them, sort of thing.
Goodwill, general goodwill.
Yeah. But in the way of like a mandatory social interaction or whatever, me and my friends more or less sort of just go introverted for a while, and that's no big deal, really.
Will you tell each other pretty much anything?
Yeah.
Okay. When you hang out with different groups of people, can you kind of meld into any sort of group or clique or scene if you want to?
Yeah, I feel like I can. I might say or do something that people look at as like a bit weird or whatnot, but I generally meld pretty easily.
Right.
Did you slay the puss?
Sorry?
Do you slay the puss?
I went a bit slut a few years ago, so maybe then, but I've got a girlfriend now, and been with her for 2 years, so I can't say I do.
Would you consider yourself somebody who's more comfortable in a relationship than out of a relationship?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've considered what it would be like to be out of a relationship, but I haven't really experienced that since I was like 13, so I think I'm probably more comfortable in a relationship.
Why do you think that is? Do you find that dating doesn't offer you enough certainty regarding the emotional status, or do you think that dating is just too much effort, or do you think that it's not enough reward, or talk to me about that sort of stuff.
I don't think it's too much effort. I think it's sort of exciting, like meeting new people and figuring out who they are and all of that. But I don't know, I think I just, once I'm in a relationship, I tend to commit to that, and yeah.
Okay.
What were you like when you were a kid?
Very anxious. Also very outgoing. Always asking questions. I got upset easily and angry easily. I had a lot of like rageful outbursts in primary school, but yeah.
Do you know what triggered those outbursts?
Feeling of indignation at having been like treated wrong or misunderstood. Usually, like I just felt like, I don't know, everyone around me was an idiot or something, but I was sort of being the idiot as well, sort of thing.
You had trouble with the management of FE considerations?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. You wanted to be liked a lot, but you also wanted to be liked for yourself, which was kind of probably pedantic and off-putting, I would guess.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty confident that you're an ENTP.
Yeah, me too.
And basically, I've only been here for 10 minutes. I felt confident pretty much right away. I mean, I already, as soon as I saw you and started talking to you, I was like, man, this guy seems like an ENTP.
Yeah, I thought he might be an INTP for a sec.
I did too.
For a hot minute, but
I don't think you are.
Yeah, he's not.
I think you're polar FI, despite your very woke. You're a woke ENTP.
Yeah, you're pretty woke.
Yeah. It's the term that Facey and I use for NTPs who aren't averse to FI, basically, who are like who understand its value and try to incorporate that in their thinking. Because a lot of young NTPs don't get out of that sort of angry stage or evolve it into who they are rather than evolving away from it. I mean, we all get angry like that when we're kids because, you know.
It's a pretty oppressive atmosphere for us. I mean,
yeah, it's not an easy world for a young NTP in general until you get for NTPs until we get our FETI blend figured out, right? You know, because what you're saying about your childhood there is, I was TIing too much. People didn't like it, but I was right, and so I feel like I was being treated unfairly. But then really I was being kind of an ass. That's you're saying, and then I figured out how to FE a little bit better, you know.
Right. Okay.
So is that what you thought you were coming in?
Yeah, that's what I thought I was.
all right.
I've taken tests like a million times. Taken the 16 personalities, taken keys to cognition, and the socionics test and everything. And I mostly got ENTP, but I also got INTP. Like the first few times I tested, it was INTP.
Yeah.
And then I got ENTJ one time, INFJ, and the last result was INFP.
ENTJ is ridiculous. INFP is ridiculous. INFJ is not obscenely wrong because, you know, there are plenty of INFJs who kind of look like ENTPs for a while and vice versa. But, yeah, you're an ENTP. The thing is, I haven't been able to actually, this is what made me feel more satisfied that I've done a more thorough job of that, is confirming your FI polar. Because you're woke, you're not giving me FI polar answers to things, really. But,
Okay.
but I don't know, can you find out that? Can you push on his FI a bit more and see where it is?
Okay.
How damp is your undercarriage?
How what?
How damp is your undercarriage?
What do you mean by undercarriage?
That refers to your emotional heartland, okay? Now,
Oh,
how damp is it? So, in other words, do you dangle your undercarriage into your damp moisture? Very often.
I'm still not so sure what you mean by that.
I don't know. This is something that's kind of hard to measure, but let's put it this way. How often do you worry about like I'll say, like, when we turn on the news sometimes you'll hear a lot about how, like, those poor little Mexican children are being locked up in concentration camps, and it's just awful. And I'm wondering, how likely are you to be, you know, very concerned about such a humanitarian outrage, right?
Back when the Paris bombings were going on, like a year or 2 years ago, I cried at that. But otherwise, I feel like I'm a little bit detached from that sort of thing, unless it's maybe happening right in front of me.
Right.
Yeah. You probably have a position on it, but you don't have a lot of attachment to the position.
Yeah, I'll often, like, joke about that sort of stuff.
Are you the kind of person who makes dead baby jokes and stuff? Like,
yeah, I suppose so, a little bit.
How many locked up Mexican children does it take to screw in a light bulb?
right.
Hopefully only one.
Okay. Well, what sort of media do you watch or consume in general? Like, can you talk about some either TV shows or movies or musics or stuff like that I might be familiar with or Stacey might be familiar with that you like?
Sure. documentaries on Earth and space, like the Planet Earth series.
Yeah, I like that.
Love-
movie. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, love that. There's another one called One Strange Rock on Netflix. My favorite movie is Ex Machina.
Have
Sort
you
of
ever
very
seen that?
sci-fi
Never seen
movie
that.
taste.
Is it like Ghost in the Machine? Is the concept of Ex Machina? Is out of the machine or something?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's an AI sort of thing, but like, is it conscious and blah blah blah, and it sort of tricks the creator and whatnot.
Oh, I see.
Brilliant movie.
So, did you like it because it was successfully surprising? That's what made you go, aha?
Yeah,
did you
yeah, it was just sort of surreal as well.
What's that M. Night Shyamalan movie that has the surprise ending? With Bruce
Every
Oh,
single one of them.
with Bruce Willis in it.
With Bruce Willis in it.
And the little boy.
Was that the one where he's like the superhero or something?
The boy sees dead people.
Oh, the boy sees dead people? Oh, Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you ever see that movie?
No, I haven't seen that,
Okay. But you know there's a surprise ending to it, right?
but now I do.
Okay, so you might want to watch that one. That's got a surprise ending. I can think of
Okay.
another one that's got a surprising thing like that, which is Usual Suspects, which is a movie I would totally recommend to you. Because it's
Okay.
a perfect example of an ENTP talking his way out of a massive pile of shit. He's in a detective's office. He makes up this big story, and that's the movie. And then at the end, the detective realizes he's just been making up this story the whole time, pulling shit out of the air from like the shelves behind him and stuff. It's a perfect example of that.
Usual Suspects, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm writing that down.
It's got Kevin Spacey before he was branded as non-employable.
Yeah.
Right.
When you listen to music, let's say you're really depressed. What kind of music are you gonna put on?
Probably usually won't listen to music, but if I did, I might put on something.
How about if you're angry?
If I'm angry, put on some metal or
Okay,
something
so
rocky.
angry music.
Yeah,
Okay.
angry music.
Okay. When he said when you're really depressed, what does it mean when you're really depressed? Can you remember an example of a time when you were really depressed?
Yeah. Do you want me to recall it or?
Sure. Or tell me what it felt like, or what the symptoms were, or whatever.
Last time I was really depressed, I had like an existential angst, like huge, overwhelming feeling of like impending doom for my future or something, and I also felt like I couldn't do anything. Like there was nothing in my power that I could do to change that at all. I just felt completely hopeless.
What
and
caused that?
I'm not sure.
How long did it last?
A couple days, and then it had maybe like a ripple effect where I'd get better, and then I'd feel a little bit more depressed, and like
How often does that happen to you?
like that. Not very often. I think I'm a pretty happy person usually, but it has been like a cycle throughout my life, I think.
You have little phases. You have phases of existential terror.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you get older, you probably experience the existential terror of realizing that your path is escaping you. You haven't been keeping very good track of it. Things are changing when you're
Right.
not looking. You know, like
Yeah.
like you'll go away from an area for a while. You'll come back a year later, and you'll realize like these businesses are gone, and these things from your childhood are no longer there, and you'll feel this sense of of just gasping terror that time passes, we are mortal, and things that we know are dissipate into nothingness.
Right.
You
Sounds
gotta-
about right.
Basically, what you gotta do is just ignore that all the time. Just, no,
Is that the best?
I'm playing with this right now. I'm gonna ignore the fuck out of that.
So, are there
Do you,
are there a lot of things that you really care about? Like, how, other than like your girlfriend or whatever, do you really have attachments to things that are really discernible?
attachments to objects or like
Objects or
concepts?
people, or concepts, anything.
I think I have an attachment to like this continual this struggle or continual journey of coming closer and closer to some sort of universal truth. I love my cats.
I love my cats too.
Don't we all?
And that's a love I understand, right? It's like, I love my cats.
Yeah.
I get what that emotion is. I can feel it. I can
Yeah.
bring it back to me. Like when I'm feeling like, oh, what a good kitty friend. You know, it's like, it's an emotion I can understand. It's a simple emotion. It's a pure emotion. It's not associated with conflict or trouble like other emotions are.
Yeah, and they don't fret like us, so it's
Right.
little chill buddies.
Hold on a second, Ethan, because I just realized Spacey is at risk. He hasn't had his first bong rip of the morning yet.
Oh, give it to him.
Yeah, his THC levels are getting dangerously low.
Daddy, I need my buds.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm a negligent parent. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Here you go. So what's your life plan? What do you got? What are you looking for your life to do besides killing sharks?
Well, after I'm done killing the sharks, I think I want to open my own psychology practice, and but you know, I don't think that's the main focus. I think I just want to keep on learning new stuff and
Getting
Yeah,
better at stuff.
getting better at stuff as well.
Getting better at
Yeah.
stuff's very gratifying. Whatever skills you undertake, know that you'll be like, okay, you'll be into it for a little while, and you'll set it aside. Don't worry about setting it aside. You'll come back to it.
Yeah, I've found that's how it is for me actually. Like I can't think of a specific example, but yeah, I'll definitely get right into something and then put it off, and then
Forget about
I'll
it
get
for a
into
while.
something else,
Yeah, but you see,
and then it comes full circle.
you could let yourself feel bad about that, though, is the thing. I used to let myself feel bad about that. Like, oh, what's wrong with me? It's like I can't follow through on anything, or I started this thing, I thought I was so into it, now I set it aside. And it's like 3 chapters of a book or something, you know.
All right.
And so, but the thing is, the reality is, make sure you keep all that shit. You will come back to it eventually, and you'll be glad you kept it, and you'll realize as you get older that time is not as we think it is. It's like we start off thinking we have infinite time to do infinite things and be infinite people. And as we go along, we start to recognize the fact that we have to sacrifice certain potentialities to realize others. And that becomes more comfortable as we age as well. And then, you know, the the point is, there's a need for us to archive ourselves and our lives that can provide us a great deal of both satisfaction and growth potentiality, because SI in the fourth slot means we know from experience, and our experiences slip away from us very easily. But if we like record ourselves or write it down or make a song or something, then that's a way to make permanent our ourselves so we can know it. We can review it a few times. We can watch that video a few times, and then we really know the thing. Whereas if we just have an experience and let it dissipate into the ether, we never really know from it like we ought to. Some unsolicited advice.
Yeah, thanks.
Spacey, any thoughts?
Not really. He does seem a lot more
chill.
Well, yeah, he's one of your more chill and EDOMs that I always try to claim exist, but nobody ever sees.
Exist.
Because it's really easy, probably, for someone to interpret you as an INTP. When I asked you the questions about how you were when you were a kid, though, that was so far and away different from how I was that it started to make me, wonder if you really were actually an ENTP and you had just kind of smoothed out.
Right. Well, the other thing is the way you TI clarify what people mean. Like, I've noticed that Spacey can tell better whether people mean what they're saying or mean something else. And the way that you always check, like, okay, so you're asking me this specific question with this specific sub-question. There's one specific question in which you did that, right? And it occurred to me that Spacey would have concluded that he understood that the person talking means what they say.
Right.
And he wouldn't bother with the clarification. You're accustomed to dealing with people, and you've learned this habit of going, okay, I know that I need to double check this because people often don't mean what they say. But I'm not reading that directly. I basically assume that people mean what they say, so I'm just going to double check. You said this thing. You actually meant this thing because you said it in kind of a weird way, so I'm going to repeat it back to you. You meant this, right? He's like, yeah, okay. So I see that as being indicative of ENTP over INTP as well. Because ENTPs, because we have TI tool function, we default to assuming people mean what they say.
INTPs don't really ask questions, even if they should.
Are you an
figure
INTP?
Everything out on their own all the time.
That's true.
In
Are you
their
an
own
INTP,
heads.
Spacey?
What?
Are you an INTP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's very useful it's been very useful in terms of understanding the differences having Spacey around for a while now, because the differences between us are both stark and often irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most of my friends are INTPs, and it's weird to see how that TI is sort of, I don't know, we feel very similar but very different at the same time.
Well, what kind of differences do you notice?
They're more careful than I might be about, like, planning stuff. Like, one friend who I think is an INTP, say, I wanted to go out to Bailing Up one time, and he was like, well, there's going to be severe winds tonight, like, and, it's already 4 o'clock. And,
right.
And it's going to rain, sort of thing.
That's not even planning, right? That's just, like, basic awareness.
But what you're thinking, Ethan, is, well, you just start going and you'll figure it out as you go.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
We don't need to worry about things that we ought to worry about. We just start doing it. It's like my pond.
Yeah.
Like my pond. Just start digging holes and start pouring concrete. I don't know how to make a pond, but I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like with making dinner as well. I just tend to just chuck stuff together and see how it ends up. I don't really have like a set meal that I'm gonna cook. Like, I'll use lamb or whatever, but yeah, it becomes lamb with cabbage and tomato and onion and capsicum and what else? It just
yes,
becomes...
of course, that's the proper way to cook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kimberly won't let me cook, basically.
Don't get me wrong, I've cooked like that, but only because I had to. You know?
What do you mean?
Like,
'Cause you-
like this is what I've got in the refrigerator, let's make it work. You know?
Oh, okay.
Right.
But you see, I don't think Spacey ever goes, you know what I bet no one's ever tried before? Putting some plum jelly in this thing. I'm going to try that.
See how it
Sometimes
goes.
I'll do shit like that, but yeah, usually someone will have to recommend it to me, or I'll try something crazy at a restaurant, and I'll be like, oh my goodness, I never considered these flavors together before, but it's great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's good when that happens.
That's why I need an ENTP in the kitchen who at least has, you know, some concept of what he's trying to make.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. How does SE go into cooking? Is that a relevant factor at all?
I think SE is better at coming up. It can be improvisational in the same way when they cook, but they'll be more likely to end up with something that actually tastes good
Look, I
to
mean,
most people.
the main role of SE in cooking is whether or not you ever actually get up off your ass and cook.
That is the main.
All
that
right.
is the main salient point. But it does also have an influence.
But also on how complicated a thing you want to cook. So, for example, I will feed myself. I will. If I'm fed, I will feed myself. But most of the time, I will go to McDonald's and get the value menu burgers or whatever. Sometimes if I have to cook myself something, like I saw the other morning, Spacey had a bowl of cereal, so I just copied him. I had a bowl of cereal. And then there's snacks, so I'll just like eat the snacks during the day or whatever. I don't know, I'll feed myself. But the point is, rarely will I say, you know what sounds fun enough to justify my doing? I'm gonna cook. First of all, the kitchen have to be all clean and ready to go. Then I think, well, that sounds kind of fun, and since there's no mess to clean up first. And then, I don't know, I just have to have a bug up my ass to do it for some reason. Otherwise, there's no way I'm gonna bother.
I don't cook because it's fun. I cook because it's just something that you should do, kind of, I guess. And it's like, it's a good skill to have. You get to make it taste just the way you want it to, right? I basically learned how to cook decently, kind of, because I don't trust other people to be able to cook. I realized that a lot of people really aren't very good at it, and it's not actually all that hard to learn how to do.
So what's your take on it? Do you cook a lot?
I cook a fair amount, yeah. Well, I don't have my license at the moment, so I can't just go out and get McDonald's or anything, but I wouldn't do that anyways. I've never really cooked until I moved out into my own place, and then I sort of had to cook. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't mind cooking too much. Usually, like, one time I just put some mince in the pan, and I just had mince. I think I might have salted it and peppered
Salted
it, but
mince. Toasted salted mince.
but yeah, I don't mind cooking too much.
This is an ENTP right here.
Put some mince in the pan. Yeah, I made cookies for this cookie contest at this Christmas party we went to, and we had a bunch of candy around here. I just melted it all in a double boiler and then just poured it all over the cookies and said, ta-da! You know. But
Do they like it?
no, everyone sort of made fun of it, really, to be honest. But whatever, I don't care. It was fun making it. That's an example of when I want to cook, is when I got a contest or something to enter. I don't enter very many cooking contests, obviously, so.
I've never entered a cooking contest.
Just the cooking contest. So we've got a few minutes. We've got more than a few minutes. If you'd like to direct the line of conversation to make sure that it's what you want to get out of it, please do so.
Sure. How certain can you be that I'm an ENTP?
I mean, I'm certain.
Yeah, I mean, damn near certain. You can only be so certain about anything in this kind of a
I'm
Yeah.
as certain as I can be.
right.
It's you. I can smell. You know, it's interesting, and I'm glad to get to type an ENTP. We don't type them very often, and there is a range of personality display within the ENTP type, and like Becky is an example of a display that's almost identical to my own, whereas you are an example of probably a different Enneagram type. Probably
You could be
you're
a 9.
9, I would guess. That's what I was
That's
thinking.
usually
Yeah,
what makes them chill like that.
I tested as an Enneagram 9.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
Okay.
so so you know, this is helpful in our SI experience because now you're sort of an archetype. This guy's definitely an ENTP, and he's also different from me in distinct ways. In a lot of ways, you're more like Spacey, right? So,
okay.
but that's because of Enneagram, and it's a reasonable explanation. It's like people do have different approaches to conflict. Some people meet conflict with conflict, and some people meet conflict with avoidance, and some people meet conflict with sort of snappishness or something.
Or they just shut down.
And just shut down or whatever, you know. So, I don't really put a lot of effort into doing the thinking about Enneagram that I've done about cognitive functions, but I do think that basically that explains subtypes. That to the extent that there are subtypes of ENTPs, they're probably
Bless you.
Excuse me.
7s, 8s, and 9s, or maybe just something like those three are going to be your likely ENTP Enneagram types 7, 8, 9. It seems because like
I don't know. I see them sometimes. They'll be 6s occasionally, I guess. But yeah, you're right.
yeah. It just seems to me that certain Enneagram types correlate very strongly with certain
Definitely.
MBTI types.
Well, even certain cognitive functions, really.
Right. So, being an NE Dom means you're limited in what your primary Enneagram type is going to be to some extent, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put
Okay.
it.
Any tips for development? Like, is SI something that I should be really focusing on, or is that something that's gonna solve itself, or what?
What type's your girlfriend?
I think she's an ENFP.
That must be fun.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Do you have some fights?
Yeah, we disagree on a lot of stuff. Stuff she reckons is like FI things. Sometimes she'll just be like, I can't believe you're that. I can't believe you just can't understand this thing that I'm trying to.
And I'm sure you say exactly the same thing to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot believe you are using your tool function again to approach the world when my tool function, exclusive of yours, is clearly superior.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
You're both going to do that to each other until you break up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
That's about as bad as you could do. In the long term. In the short term,
Okay.
like I said, I'm sure it's very fun.
Like there's lots of any camaraderie going on there, right? You got
Yeah.
a full bevy of any camaraderie.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
but anytime there's something that needs to be deliberated about or evaluated, adjudicated, so to speak, she goes to the interested calculus, and you go to the disinterested calculus.
What do you mean by that?
She says, well, let's determine what's right or wrong by how much I or we care about this. And you go,
Right.
well, let's determine what's right or wrong by eliminating how much we care from the equation and taking a disinterested calculus.
Yeah, that's like all of our fights.
Yeah, that's
It's-
I mean, it's you got 2 7s. Your 2 7s are in in the worst possible place. If it were like astrology, it would be like your Venus was crammed into your Gemini, crammed into your Mars or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But like,
Um,
you bet. And just as long as you don't talk about politics for the rest of your relationship, you might be fine.
Or anything else about which you need to make a deliberative decision.
right. Okay. Um, can you tell me more about how FI Polar might manifest in someone with my personality type? So I can
Well,
understand that more.
We are although the moisture dampness stuff, I tend to refer to anything that's FI as wet, damp, moist, whatever. So
Okay.
basically what it means is we are damper than ESTPs. Like ESTPs also have FI polar, but they are more rough and tumble with the world and other people than we are by a substantial amount. And
Okay.
we're soft. ENTPs are soft. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
if somebody cries at us, we're usually going to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad, and what did I do wrong?" And we want everyone to be nice and similarly childlike to us. We're very childlike, and we want the world to be an environment in which our childlike natures can play safely. And a lot of times the world is not such an environment, and so it causes us discomfort, and we take whatever approach we take. You're avoidant, I'm avoidant too. You're avoidant of conflict, I'm avoidant of fear.
Okay. How does that manifest avoidance of fear? Are you like afraid of fear, or?
I mean, like, I can't. Avoidance of fear means, instead, when my phone makes a noise, I get this little feeling of despair in me that goes, it could be a responsibility, it could be somebody complaining about something. And so until Space Heat came here, I basically had this intense battle with checking my email or checking my phone. As soon as it'd been like more than 6 hours since I checked it, then I thought, oh shit, but it's starting to pile up now. And now I really don't want to go look at it. And,
Okay.
And so, like, when my phone was missing for a couple of days, and I finally found it again, I refused to look at it for a day. It even took me more than a day to hand it to Spacey to say, okay, I'm ready for you to look at it. And what was there on the phone? Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 2 calls, a text message.
That's being a 7. That is a 7. I'm
All right.
sorry. I can't check my email, Spacey. Can you check it, please? For no reason, really. It's just me being super avoidant of anything that seems scary.
Right. And scary is like responsibility.
Right.
The burden of responsibility.
Deadlines, being held accountable for something that I fucked up, or I will stay in there and take it once I stop avoiding it, but
Right.
So yeah, I get communicative media phobias. So Facebook message phobia, email phobia, phone phobia.
Fair enough.
Who knows?
I mean,
I guess you probably have similar sort of avoidance things with conflict.
yeah. I mean, if someone's coming at me with conflict, then I tend to come back at them. But I'll never say like "fuck you" or anything. I try and keep a cool head about it.
Right. Yeah, an 8 would just probably escalate.
Oh yeah? No way, bro.
Right.
Fuck you then. Fuck you. No.
Yeah.
That's like me.
Is it?
I mean, not with the ESTP pretend voice, but basically, Kimberly, Spacey scene. Spacey, describe to him how my 8 plays out.
All right, so he starts trying to explain something, what to Kimberly, and then she's she starts getting kind of non-responsive and dismissive, and you can see her kind of rolling her eyes and going like, "Oh my God, this fucking idiot's talking again," and then he starts getting a little bit more impassioned, right? Because he's trying to get through to this woman, right? And she's just not listening. So at that point, it's like a battle, right? It's just he's screaming louder so that she'll listen, and then she's screaming louder back at him so that he'll fuck off. And then it's like that until they're screaming so loud that the neighbors are concerned. Right.
That can't end well.
Yeah.
Surely just screaming back at someone's just gonna... Yeah, like you said, it just escalates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It escalates. That's with 2 8s.
2 8s, yeah. 2 8s add up to 16 and fuck you.
Right.
So, SE in the 8 slot, does that mean I've got, like, no SE, or...
No, on the contrary, it means it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, how does that work?
I'll let Spacey answer. I think Spacey answers this one better because he's seen it from an external perspective. When I describe my own SE, I'm always sort of stumble around a bit.
Okay.
Well, Eric has an idea, and his SE will usually kick in pretty immediately to realize that idea. So he will get up and go do what he wants to do. Like he'll be like, "Oh, I want to live stream right now," and then walk over to the garage and start live streaming. And that's how his SE works.
Yeah.
I could sit here, right? By comparison, right? I could sit here and think about live streaming, but be like, I might. I don't know. Maybe in 15 minutes when I feel like getting up.
Yeah. Okay.
For like an ESTP, who's like an SE dom, right? They would be.
It's hard to describe that.
Right. It's hard to describe the reverse of it.
It's really hard to describe.
They're probably getting ideas from what they do.
Probably.
Would be.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, it's like that ESTP we talked to yesterday, who actually had written a book and is writing another book, and had some other project.
Right.
He had those 3 projects.
Right. They can use any, basically, but only in the service of accomplishing an actual SE thing that they want to do. So there's an action they want to take, there's a result that they want, and they already know it.
Okay.
And then the NE serves that.
So the expert in intuition, it's good enough for them to, like you said, write a book. It gives them that linguistic ability, maybe the ability to write a good sentence.
It's just being an action type.
Right.
We're both action types. SE DOMs and NE DOMs are both action types. Our action type is we're going to splay words all over the place, and we're going to the extent that we realize projects and stuff, they're going to be metaphysical style projects like that. Writing or conceptual things like your ideas about psychology. As you go through psychology, you'll probably develop more of your own sort of building off of existing theories shit, or making connections between them and coming up with something that sort of seems new but is really just sort of connections of different ideas. And you'll probably be more active in ideating on paper about those kind of ideas at some point. But like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I didn't really make much of anything. I was just sort of in a, I guess, consuming, gathering information kind of a mode. I had to consume a lot of stuff before I was ready to start doing a lot of generating stuff. And I got a lot of my inning out just in socializing too. When you're younger, a younger EHP tends to have as much socializing as they want at their disposal.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you'll want less, and you'll want to do more meaningful kinds of extroverted intuition that are more creative. But it's important to go through those stages of development, I would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I was responding to.
Well, we were talking about how his 8-slot SE might pop up. Definitely very, very reactive physically, but but they don't.
Yeah.
Like you said, he doesn't know what he's doing really until he starts doing it. It's just an idea.
It's an,
Okay,
an
yeah.
inclination
Right.
that has enough impetus to excite me enough to go, okay, that will be fun. Basically,
Yep.
once I conclude that will be fun,
Honestly,
there's enough impetus to do it.
I see a parallel here, kind of, where your first and your eighth slot, your eighth slot basically your NE, your inkling is only good enough when it's enough to make your eighth slot SE want to move. It's almost like that's
Yeah.
really your limiter.
Right.
And for me,
The-
it's really the same thing with TI and FI, actually. Like, I need to make my FI want to budge
Right.
before I can do anything. Like,
How does that manifest?
How does that benefit? Yeah, how does that benefit Spacey? How does it benefit anybody for you to use your FI?
No, how does that manifest?
Oh,
Like,
manifest. Oh,
what? Eighth slot FI?
How does your FI, how do you budge that, or what does that mean?
Well, I guess in the same way that, like, you could use SE to serve your NE, I can use FI to serve my TI. So I can use FI, I guess, pretty effectively to kind of, like, gauge emotional situations and...
Because the thing about FI to remember is people think of FE as containing stuff that's actually FI. Being able to tell what the other person feels and caring about what the other person feels and being able to anticipate what the other person is going to feel if you say these mean words, for example, and being able to put yourself in their shoes, that's all FI stuff. That's
Right.
not FE. And so when he's saying, like, his FI is active, he's saying he can both understand how it's going to play out on a TI logical level, like what's going to win the TI argument, and also how it's going to impact the parties who are participating.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense about my INTP friend.
Right.
I remember
Um,
one time he was saying, like, and now I'm going to do this, and the other party's going to feel a little bit shit,
Right.
and then I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah. We've considered it. But
Right.
here's the thing. The part of FI that I don't seem to get is the part that makes you,
Feel good.
well, number one, I guess, feel good. But number two, I guess, feel attached enough to things to want them.
That's just
Basically.
dopamine issues.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe FI is attached to dopamine in some weird way. I don't know, but it's, for me, it's definitely a lack of motivation. I don't know if that is an 8 slot FI thing or what, but it's, you know, it's like, it's hard to determine what I really like or care about.
Right.
So basically, we're lucky to be ENTPs instead of INTPs.
Basically, yeah.
It's hard to be an INTP. I've seen that hanging out with Spacey, that, you know, INTPs are, they have the kind of inertia that objects at rest tend to stay at rest.
Mm-hmm.
They've got like that. They're sort of their defining burden to carry is that they are at default, they are at rest. By default, they're at rest, and when not moved along, they've returned to a state of rest.
Okay. And even when they are moving along, they eventually return to rest.
Well, yeah, but they have to be moved along.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
long as we need to
okay.
be steadily pushed. We have a bit
And
of...
not too hard, not too far. You have to you gotta push them for a little while, and then you gotta let them rest for a while, and you push them for a little while. You know.
Okay.
Right. If I get too hot, right?
I got a pretty
Okay.
my FI is pretty good in reading his state of fussiness. Actually, I'm pretty good about reading his state. I can tell when he's getting fussy. I mean, he's pretty demonstrative about it too. He's not.
I'll let you know when I'm fussy.
Yeah, he's not hiding it. So I know
No.
when to go. Okay, I know you need to go eat. Let's go eat.
Let's have a meal. Can you tell me about the NE-SI axis? Does using NE inherently mean that I'm rejecting SI?
Well, I mean, you're inherently overweighting your attention towards extroverted intuition at the expense of introverted sensing. Yes, but the thing I was thinking about a lot is it's important when you're talking about this to distinguish between the different aspects. Introverted sensing has two very distinct aspects. One of which is remembering details from experiences that link to ideational stuff. With that, our SI is pretty active all the time with our NE. So I'm always obviously remembering what I already know to some extent, what I've seen before, what I've heard before, but just basically the NI takeaways. But they're linked, it's married to NI very closely because they're 4-5, SI, NI. So the thing is, we have the component of SI that keeps track of the NI shit is highly developed and is active with our extroverted intuition. But the rest of the SI stuff is not. So we have low resolution impressions of past experiences. In other words, we don't remember details like smells, sights, really.
Words that were said.
We do remember.
Well, specific words, maybe. I don't know.
We
Maybe
do remember.
do.
I definitely do, and I suspect most ENTPs remember words that were said that are relevant to things that might be argued about.
Well, right.
Yeah, that feels true for me.
I always remember everything that might come up in a later dispute or argument that I will then bring out and say, "You said meh meh and meh meh occasion," you know.
Yeah, suddenly
because
SI,
the words have meaning.
right?
Right, because that little part of SI is very highly developed and active in an ENTP all the time. So some of our SI is continually going back and forth with NE. NE looks to SI for a thing and then generates something new off of it, and then looks to SI for a thing and generates something new off of it. But the rest of SI, the part where we're taking care of our bodies, paying attention to how much we eat and drink, getting enough sleep, you're aware that you need a lot of sleep. We need a lot of sleep because extroverted intuition is a very high energy function, and we have high metabolisms. You're skinny, I'm skinny.
I'm skinny.
You're not. You're.
I'm not
cut.
as skinny.
You're cut, but and you're not as skinny. But INTPs tend to be skinny too. Extroverted intuition in the one, and so do INFPs in the 1 or 2. But most notably, it's in ENTPs. I think that
definitely.
we have the maximal like. We'll go, and then we need to crash and take a nap, and we're very much subject to our level of effectiveness is very much contingent on our attention to SI and the part that we don't naturally attend to, namely the physical self-care stuff. So in the ideal relationship, you'd get with an ISFJ who provides you the SI and takes care of you and stuff like that. And my SI has gotten a lot better since I've been with Kimberly. Of course, you got to make sure you find the right ISFJ, and you know. But
yeah, a lot of them have like PTSD and stuff, and you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's avoid.
Yeah, my dad's an ISFJ, and I can definitely see the benefits of that sort of relationship. Like,
so you have a
like
secure attachment style.
Sorry?
So you have a secure attachment style.
Yeah, maybe.
You had a dual the parent, they love you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mum's a bit batshit, but so I don't know how that affects things.
It only takes one. It only takes one parent who really truly bonds with the child and loves the shit out of them, and you turn out fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't turn out fine.
You turned out okay.
Well, I didn't have one of those parents.
You're surprisingly not toxic, though, at all.
Well, I mean, it took a lot of work.
Oh.
I mean, I was pretty toxic.
Oh, work's good though. I mean, I feel like if you have a problem and then you overcome that problem, then you're almost stronger than someone who didn't have that problem.
No, I agree with that. It's like, you know, how scar tissue is stronger than the flesh that was there previously, you know.
Yeah.
Or your muscles tear apart and...
That's why I'm constantly scarring my penis.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That
Like,
doesn't
I've
sound
done it.
healthy.
My penis skin is now 100% scar tissue.
You can shoot a bullet at it. It just bounces right off.
Behold.
That's horrible.
Okay, let's draw this video to a close, shall we?
Yeah, no, it's been really good.
Thanks very much, Ethan. I appreciate your business, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And thank you, viewing audience, if he lets me publish this. Can I publish this?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great,
Cool.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.